Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about Project K, aka the League of Legends trading card game that was just announced today. So this is created by Riot Games, aka the League of Legends publishers. I believe that they're working with their Chinese studio for this one, and it is a physical card game, just like Magic. You're going to be able to collect the cards, actually collect the physical version of it and everything like that. It is not a physical version of their other card game, which is Runeterra. However, it does pull from some of its philosophy, and you'll see that, when you look at the cards, they have similar-ish kind of abilities to Legends of Runeterra, and the art seems to be pulled from there and some other Runeterra properties. I don't know if they're going to make their own art for it or not. Some of the art looks a little bit dodgy, just because, as well as the fact that they've kind of pulled decades old splash arts for some of it. But we'll see as to how exactly that goes, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But some more information. It's designed around 1v1, but then as they were making the 1v1, they decided that they could go up to 4 players as well. So 2v2s to kind of capture that whole MOBA feel. And that's one of the things that they kind of looked like they were aiming towards. It was capturing that feel of a MOBA, and you're going out and capturing your lanes and jungling and that kind of stuff. Working with LGSs, so they're working and investing in all that kind of stuff and the competitive scene, as well as, just kind of pushing towards that. They're doing a staggered approach to release, which is a little bit disappointing for me, at least, because Runeterra did something similar, and then it took ages for it to be launched in Australia, and it was so bad. So far, I believe they're going to have China be released first, given they've already got a publisher over there, and then other areas later. They talk specifically about they're going to be doing a test at the upcoming, 2KO, I think it was. And then also there's going to be options for people to be able to purchase a bundle that's there, like an arcane themed bundle. However, people will be able to, outside of that, order an English version of that bundle early next year. So I believe at the US only, likely. I doubt we're going to get that in Australia, unfortunately, but we'll see. All right, so going into some cards we've seen so far, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers at the moment, so anything that you guys can share would be amazing. Thank you so much for everything you guys have done so far. So this is the card back. However, there's actually 3 different card backs. I'm not sure entirely how they're going to be different. So first up, we have the Legends. So these seem to be kind of like your commander, and it's what your deck is built around. So each deck that you build will be based around one of these commanders. So say, for example, you will have a Victor deck, and that is your deck. Your deck will be Victor. This kind of shows what cards, your color identity has to be. So he's a blue-white character. Blue-yellow. And what's this? Is there actually... No. Yeah, I was wrong. I thought that was only 4 colors, but it looks like there's 6, I believe. There's orange, red, purple, green, yellow, and blue. So yeah, there is 6 colors here. So later on, I'm going to have a slide that's slightly wrong. But these are essentially a passive come eminence kind of ability that kind of sits up there. Some of them you have to pay for. So say, for example, this one here, the Yas, you have to pay 2. I love you too. You have to pay 2 and then tap him or exhaust him to move a friendly unit to or from your base. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Or this one here, the Machine Herald Victor, you pay 2 and then exhaust him to play a recruit unit token at a location. The other thing is that you can see that they're clearly kind of building it around, you could have multiple different versions of each of these characters as your legend. So Yas here, because of the fact that it's got this big Unforgiven up the top here and then the Yasuo down the bottom, it looks like you could have an Unforgiven Yas, or this version of Yas or something, and that can kind of play into the whole League of Legends skins as well. You could have a Star Guardian, Jinx, or something like that. Who knows? That but this is one part of your commander kind of thing, and it's what your deck is kind of built around. So getting into some other cards, and this is I'll show you something else in a minute. So you've got these guys here, which are units that you can play. They're just kind of not specific to creatures or to commanders or anything, or legends, I should say. These are just, you know, that color identity. So this is just an orange one, and it just has like it's got deflect, which looks to be like a ward-ish kind of ability, and then like an ability down here. We've got a dragon as well here, and you know, this one here, it specifically says Jinx down here. So I'm pretty sure to be able to play this, you need to have Jinx as your legend. So Jinx is your legend up there. And this one here deals 5 damage to a unit anywhere. And then when you score, you can discard a card to return this card from your trash. It specifically says from your trash as well. So trash seems to be the word they're going to be used for the graveyard. And the fact it can deal damage to a unit anywhere is important later on when I talk about how the game kind of plays. We've got here, this is Siphon Power. So this is a reaction. So kind of like, think about like an instant kind of thing. You choose a battlefield. Again, talk about that in a minute. And you're going to be able to buff things up there by 1 of this, which is Might. And then enemy units get -1 Might while they're there. Until end of turn. So yeah, it's kind of like an instant that you could play. Or, you know, you've got this Yas, which is an actual champion card. So this is a card that sits out there and it's a champion. And, you know, has the ability that whenever he attacks, he deals damage equal to his might. So this up here to an enemy here. We've got this Jinx here. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, ready me. So obviously, you know, when you exhaust things, the untap version of that is ready them. So, you know, they can come in ready, or, you know, that kind of thing. And then she gets +1 might this turn. We've got this one here, which is another version of Jinx. So I showed this one here because specifically, she is like, you know, you've got 2 different versions of the same champion here. So this one here is, you know, they're both different versions of Jinx. So this one has 2 different keyword kind of things. She's got Accelerate, which means that you can pay extra to have her in ready. So instead of being, you know, coming in exhausted, she comes in ready. And then you've got +2 might whenever she's an attacker, which is this assault thing here. So assault 2 means that they get +2 might whenever they attack, which is interesting. And then when you play her, you discard 2. It also seems to have a very similar thing to Magic, where they seem to heal at the end of fighting because they don't have any, like when you look at the gameplay, they don't have any tokens out on things to be like, hey, this has taken this much damage or anything along those lines. They've just got, you know, their might. And as well as they don't seem to have like an attack and a defend ability, or like, you know, a power toughness or anything. They've just got this one stat, which is their might. They don't have other stats, it seems. All right. Now, the thing is that why do I think that? Because up here, this ability up here, which, you know, I thought could have been like their toughness or their health or whatever, it's on spells as well. So, you know, this one here, it's got 3 up here, and then you've got these 2, and then ready a enemy unit, ready a friendly unit, and it deals damage to its might to an enemy on the battlefield. So, you know, untap, deal damage, which is pretty cool. We've got this big volley bear here, 10, and then 2 here, 9 might. And then it also has this deflect 2, which is like a ward. As I said, you have to pay 2 extra to choose him as a spell or effect, with a spell or effect. And then whenever he attacks, he deals 5 damage split among any number of enemy units here. Again, that'll be important in a minute. You've also got Victor. Whenever a non-token creature, non-token unit enters, you control dies. Sorry, a non-recruit unit. Wow. Non-recruit unit you control dies, play a 1 recruit enemy unit token. So I'm pretty sure that these tokens, like these recruits, are all tokens, but we'll have to see later on if there's other types of tokens, I guess. But it seems like recruits are potentially just all tokens, which is interesting. We've also, you can see here again, like, you know, you've got Victor, and then down the bottom here you've got Leader. So there's a couple other cards here that they showed. So this one here just costs 2 and 1. I'm pretty sure that this up here is the cost, which I'll talk about in a minute. And this one is what you can, this may be played. So this one here is like an interrupt, I believe. So like an instant reaction here. As an additional cost to this, you may exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, draw 2. So in other words, this one here, you're paying 2, it seems, exhausting a unit, and then you get to draw 2. Or if you don't exhaust 2, you just get to draw 1, which is pretty cool. And you've also got like Vi. So this is interesting because it's a different champion, right? This is Vi. She's not Jinx. She has obviously the same color identity, or at least half the color identity, because she's red as Jinx. So you can play other champions, not necessarily just like the same champion as you've got as your actual legend or anything. So she has Recycle 1. I don't know what Recycle 1 does. I assume it's like get something from your graveyard or from your trash back into your hand. They didn't fully reveal that. And she's also got ganking, which means that she can move around the battlefield, which is pretty cool. These here, they showed a number of different times. This seems to be the way they're going to do mana. Very similar to the way that League does it. That Magic does it. And I just thought of something right then. I don't think that these are drawn from your normal deck. I'll talk about that in a minute. Sorry, there's a few things I'm talking about in a minute. So getting into how you actually play. So these are the battlefields, right? So I'll show you some pictures in a minute, but it seems like the battlefields, you have 3 sitting in the middle, and when you are in the battlefields, you are trying to capture them, and it looks like you capture them when you get to 8 points on that battlefield. So, for example, if you're at this battlefield, and you play a unit, move a unit from your base up to this battlefield, then you will have ganking. Those creatures have ganking, so they can move to any of the other battlefields. So that's pretty interesting, like being able to move around the battlefields. And it means that, you're not as punished for playing at this one, because you can, play it to this one, and then if you find you're losing it, you can move it to a different battlefield. We've also got this one here. When you conquer here, discard 1 and then draw 1. Now, I don't know entirely what conquer means. I don't know if that means you win it, like you get your whole 8 points from it or anything. Or, like, if you've just got the most creatures there or something like that. Or, like, the biggest, amount of points there or something. There's a few different ways this could potentially work. We'll have to see. All right, so getting into the breakdown of the cards. And this is my understanding of it. Now, it could potentially be wrong, but we'll have to see. So having a look at it, up here, we've got the generic mana cost, and this is the specific mana cost from what I can gather, because of the fact that, cards have this up here no matter what. But this one here, they don't always have. So up here, your generic mana cost. So in other words, this Victor here will cost 4 plus 1 specifically has to be a yellow mana. And then you've got the location tag down here. So this is basically, or other tags. So there's like dragon, for example, down here. This is just their other kind of tag. So you know how you've got like a creature that is also a serpent, or, a creature that is an a creature that is like a dog or something like that. That is specifically what these kinds are. However, they are specific to like the locations within Runeterra. So this Victor, for example, he's a Zornite. He's from Zorn. So that's what it's got there. Down here, you've got your location, your collection number, and your set code. This is the card name, specifically these two things together. So this is Victor. It is the leader version of Victor, which means they can have a different version of Victor. They can have an arcane version of Victor, for example. This is the rarity. That's pretty simple. You've got the color identity down here. Now, I'm assuming that is because they can't, like if they do a borderless version of it, it might get a bit funky as to what their color identity is. So they've actually put it down here. You've got the ability here in the middle, your card type, so that he is a champion card. You've got champion, unit, and spell from what I can gather, as well as, battlefield. You've got might up here, so that's their power from what I can gather as well. And, you've got ways to be able to recruit, to buff that or nerf it. And then that's probably what they use when they're fighting things as well. And, you can assumedly like, you know, have Victor plus 2 recruits and then go and attack with those, and that's 6 might. I don't know entirely how it's going to work in regards to damage and stuff, but that's what I can gather from this. All right, and then we've got this one here. This should say breakdown of cards spell. So you've got your mana cost up here. And, you know, that's not rune cost, that is mana cost, and then generic mana cost. So, you know, you've got like this one here is going to cost 5 in total. You've got the legend required. So this one here requires you to have Yas as your legend from what I can gather, because of the fact that this is a very specifically Yasuo card. You've got your collection number / set number down here, your rarity, your color identity, your ability, and then your type of card. Very, very similar, very easy to read, and that's basically what I can gather from that. So getting into some tidbits we can learn from here. Now, specifically they had 3 decks, which is very interesting. This Goldie deck, I am not entirely sure as to what it is going to be. The white deck, I originally thought was going to be going to be tokens, and that's like your token deck. However, upon reading and looking at this more, I'm pretty sure this white deck is going to be your mana deck. I'm pretty sure. Now, that could be wrong. Could be potentially wrong. However, when I have a look at this, and that's going to be called runes, not mana, so like rune mana or whatever. When I have a look at the Yas here, the Relentless Storm here, you may exhaust me to play your top rune exhausted. So that makes me think that is going to be like your rune deck, your mana deck. And then that's how it essentially you're going to ramp by drawing cards from that and then playing those cards. So essentially, like, if you had your deck, your mana, like your forests and etc., your other lands outside of your deck. So you've got your actual deck and then you've got your mana, which is very cool and very interesting. The reason I think that is just because of these white borders kind of matching here. And I think that kind of, you know, could potentially be showing that. Maybe. I think that is what it is, but we'll see. Up here, you've got your battlefields. So you've got your 3 different battlefields that people are versing to try and, you know, capture and stuff. In a 4-player game, that might get a bit funky, but I guess once you kind of start knocking people out and stuff, then you just go and knock it back to the hand and everything. You've got your trash pile here, and you can see the legend sitting up here as well, which is essentially kind of like, as I said, like an eminence kind of ability that you've got at all times, that some of them may require them to be exhausted. Some of them may require, you know, you to pay something. Some of them might just be like, you know, that the Jinx one, which is just like, you know, extra bonuses for discarding cards, etc. Now, this here is the very start of the battle game, and you'll notice a couple different things. They're drawing all from this blue deck here, and this white deck and gold deck are sitting here. Now, again, I don't know what these are. Maybe this one's prizes and stuff. Maybe this one here is the lands, as I think. Like, this is your rune deck. That's what I'm thinking. Rune deck, your main deck, and then some kind of prize deck or something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure as to what this gold one is. That's very interesting. But you'll also notice that you specifically start out with your legend, and then also alongside that, your champion. So you do start with, like, you know, your legend out here for your eminence kind of ability, and then you start out with your legend out here. So that's kind of like, assumedly, your commander that you can then play to move them from there into your base. So this here is your base where you're slowly kind of building up your resources and stuff, and then you send things out onto the battlefield to go, like, you know, onto the lanes, essentially. Like, you know, if you've ever played League, you're sending them out to the lanes to kind of, you know, gank and fight over the lanes to try and capture those locations. So it feels kind of similar to like when Marvel Snap kind of thing, except, you know, you've got, in addition to the locations in Marvel Snap, you've got like your base that you're sending stuff from. It also looks very similar to like the One Piece game. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Personally, you know, I haven't had any experience with it, but it is very similar to this One Piece game, right? Like, even down to like these blue kind of things here, like the blue abilities and stuff, the card types and everything. It looks very similar. So some other tidbits. Recruits may just be another name for tokens. I'm not sure. There's actually 6 colors. I think that purple is similar to black, and that's as far as I got. One of them is going to be similar to green, but it is not green. I think that orange might be similar to green, given the fact that they specifically talked about when they were looking at volley. Like, if we go back to the start here. Wow. Okay, where's here? So I think that red is similar to red. I think red is red. I think that green is orange. As dumb as that sounds, green is orange. And I think the black is like purple is like black. Blue may be similar to blue, like when you look at like the cards they showed. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell what is what. But like, you know, there'll be some kind of equivalent to it in Magic, but who knows? Exhaust seemed to be tapped, as I said, and I think it's 8 points to win a location because they had it like they were talking and they were playing a game and they said, you know, oh, that gives me up to 8 points and now I win this. So thoughts, let me know what you guys think. Are you interested in it or not? Hopefully this breakdown helped a lot. Have a great day and goodbye.